There was a meeting that we've had this morning. This brief that I'm giving you was actually presented in there. Some of the figures you may already have now may be a little bit different from what I have. So in terms of these brief, members of the media, that you're familiar with the track, I will move straight into the casualty and the severity affected areas where people are injured and also are hospitalized. So in terms of, you look at the figures, in terms of the Western Division, we have 27 injuries that are actually being reported from the Western Division. The Northern Division, though there is no figures over there, we know that the Northern Division is also one of the major hit areas in the country. The Divisional Commissioner and his team, they're also working around the clock to actually get some figures across to us, and so we should be able to provide you later on that one. For the Eastern Division, what we have got so far is 3 that have been hospitalized and 39 that are being injured. These are mostly for the Lomaiviti group, and for the Central Division, we have 3 injured. Those are what we have at the moment, and I know the figures are bound to change. But in terms of when we look at the evacuation centers and the damages that has already been done for the Western Division, currently there are 110 evacuation centers that are being activated. And with that, Western Division, they hold the biggest number of 6,483 evacuees. And on top of that, 8 destroyed dwellings that has been reported to us through the damage assessment team that had gone out, 6 partially damaged, and 39 schools have been damaged. Going to the Northern Division, there are 33 evacuation centers that have already been activated. They now have 2,035 evacuees, 3 partially destroyed dwellings, and 1 school has been damaged. More of this will come in as more reports comes in from the division. For the Eastern Division, 9 evacuation centers. Again, this would be in the Lomaiviti areas. 514 evacuees. There are 315 destroyed dwellings in Lomaiviti. So far, they hold the biggest number of the dwellings that have actually been taken down. There are 65 partially damaged dwellings, and also 24 schools have been included. When you look at the overall summary, the number of deaths, although on the screen it says 28, confirmed as we had the meeting this morning, was 29. So the figures that you have there for the Central, the Western, the Eastern, and also Northern. Missing, we have 1 that from the Eastern Division. That's again from the Lomaiviti group. The hospitalized, we have 3 from the Eastern group, and that is the number that we have. In terms of injury, there are 3 from the Central Division, 27 from West, and also 59 from the Eastern Division, so with a total of 89. The evacuation centers so far, as I mentioned, Central has 122, the Western has 110, Eastern 9, with the North 33, with a total of 274. In terms of the evacuees that we have, the Central Division has 4,880, with the Western Division 6,483, 514 for the Eastern Division, and 2,035 for the Northern Division, with a combined total of 13,193 evacuees in the evacuation centers now. The destroyed buildings that we have, the highest number that we have from the Eastern Division, which is 315, West is 8, Central is 8, with a total number for the country 331. We have not factored in the Northern Division. We know, I believe in the next brief I should be able to provide you with some numbers. Also, we have partially damaged buildings, and also the school buildings that have been damaged. That is the summary that we have so far as of this morning. I'll move now to the utilities. The majority of the affected areas are still without resolve the water supply. In terms of Rakiraki, Tamba, Tavua, Lautoka, Nandi, the Singatoka, Lambasa, Sianganga, Nambualu, Winivau, Mbua, Sabsau. There could be changes that has happened in the last few hours, but that was the figures that we had as of this morning. Power supply, also the various areas that are being affected are still without power around the country. The roads and jetties, Levuka, waini koro nambu walu to Daria, koro jeti, Sausabu jeti, nambu walu jeti, Tabuni jeti. These are the jetis that were affected. In terms of communication, some of the areas that we still have not been able to get communication from, Lehuka, Tuma, Moala, Bunisea, Lakemba, and Vunumbalavu, Vunindawa, Lakemba, Tavi, Uni, and the majority of the Northern Lao group. So in terms of assessment, the teams are still out again. The divisional teams are still out again, and they are there on the field to ensure that all the districts and all the villages and settlements are being covered. Let me give you the intent of government in the next 30 days that we have during this declaration period. The first one is on the basic needs. The focus of government now is to get the basic needs of our communities back into order in terms of shelter, in terms of food, and also in terms of water. Together with that is the accessibility and also the livelihood and food security. The second priority of government now is the restoration of the essential services through the various utilities and infrastructure that we have. The roads, we need to get accessibility to all the points in terms of the power that needs to be restored, communication that needs to be restored. So this is the restoration of essential services. And the third one is on economic recovery. Okay, on economic recovery, to ensure that people can go back to work, people can actually go back to normalcy. And these are the three major areas or major priorities that government is working on now in the next in the 30 days during this emergency and declaration period. That is all, members of the media, and I will take questions now.
So just in relation to basic needs, first of all, food and water.
Right.
There's a number of places we have spoken to, including the maritime areas. We know that the ships are on their way, and the Western Division, Rakiraki and Bar, getting calls from people that they need immediate assistance as far as food and water supplies are concerned. When will it reach those areas?
Okay, our divisional teams, together with the various sectors of government around the country, with the 4 divisional commissioners, they are actually working around the clock. We understand that whilst they are doing the assessments, there is a need on the ground for people to have water and also to have food. That is why the evacuation centers are being set up. It is a center that will allow, from the government side, the ease of access for those who are actually affected. It will be difficult for the government to actually go out on a house-to-house basis to actually meet your needs. It does it in a collective way, and we have evacuation centers available that they can go to, so that they can be assisted from there for the time being before they go back to their respective homes. So the focus now is to get the damage assessment done. From that assessment, then you should be able to know from a village right up to a district and right up to the province what is the need, rather than trying to tackle individually. Thank you.
So if people need food and water, they need to go to the evacuation center?
Yeah, because after this assessment that has been done, then the next thing is, based on that, government will provide food assistance. Okay, for the time being, the focus of the food right now and the water right now is on the evacuation centers, because those are the people who need it. Those are the people who are, I can say, the victims that they have taken the liberty to move to the centers. So they will be helped from there. But beyond that, we'll have to wait for the damage assessment to be done. It is done collectively, and once that is done, government will provide that assistance. We will be, from here, we will wait for the recommendation from the divisional commissioners, whether it is going to be a 1 week provision for the community, or whether it is a 1 month provision, or even for the 3 months. We will wait for them to provide us those figures. So rather than going on a reactive kind of a situation to the people, we try to do it in a collective way. We know that by doing the process, some may not be immediately being attended to if they are still in their own homes, but if they are in the evacuation centers, the priority will go to them. Definitely they'll get the food, and definitely they'll get the water.
How many people are on the ground as far as emergency work is concerned?
You mean for the damage assessment team? Okay.
In total?
Okay. I cannot give you a full figure, but what I can tell you is this: all the divisional the commissioners, the 4 of them, and then we have 5 provincial administrators, and then there are sorry, not 5, there are actually 13 provincial administrators, and then we have more district officers. Now these are the various key points of government that the rest of the government sectors, whether it is from health or whether it is from social welfare or agriculture, all of them now are actually being committed to the work in terms of the damage assessment and the assistance that will need to be provided. So I cannot give you a figure now, but I suppose all I can say is this: the commitment of government on the 4 divisions for all the government civil servants on the ground. Now they have to do that as a priority. Whatever they do that in their own departments will become a second priority now. So that is the priority of government right now, and it is also the only time during a period of 30 days or less that the full resources of government are being used to actually facilitate the problems that we have on the ground. So we can commandeer the vehicles, we can commandeer the ships. Even at the meeting that we had this morning, those who are outside of the government, the private sectors, they have been informed, if you have assets, national assets that are important, make that available. We will do the tasking and then we will send it out for the needed communities. So that is where we are at the moment, and we are hoping that by the end of the 30 days we have covered enough, or we have covered the whole of Fiji in terms of what is needed there and then.
So, has the business houses come on board to help out?
Yes, the business houses, they are actually going through their ministry. They are willing to come on board, and what's the name of this ministry? So what they're doing is that they are coordinating. Yeah, they're coordinating, and also from the government side, government has already released a couple of accounts as appeal, where people can also send in their funds so that we can beef up those accounts. Those are what are being available right now for the county.
So what is FNPF doing in all this?
FNPF, they were also at the meeting this morning, and FNPF, they are also now ready. The system that FNPF they do is that they have, I think they have 3 criteria that they have. The assessment will have to go through the machinery of government, which is actually the district officer, and to the divisional commissioner before it comes in. They have to fill their form, get their costing done. It can be done through our various divisions. The health inspectors, they should be able to assist on that. But once you give them the clearance, they can take that to the FNPF to get assistance from.
So one last one. Also, besides Australia and New Zealand, which other countries have given aid to Fiji?
Apart from Australia and New Zealand, we also have France. They are actually facilitating some air wings with us for the purpose of distribution of foods. There have been some commitment made by China, $100,000. United States of America, $100,000. This goes to the Fiji Red Cross. We also have New Zealand, apart from what they have now with their planes, and in the country right now, they have offered another $250,000 to the NDMO. So these are some of the assistance that are flowing in, and here next door is they are actually the people who are actually coordinating that.
That's in US currency, right?
US currency, yeah.
What happens to those families who've lost everything? They don't have any roofs over their heads,
Okay.
and their houses are not insured. What type of assistance will be offered to them?
Okay. One of the government ship has already left for Koro yesterday. Okay, they'll answer. Okay, for Koro. We have noted that some of the villages, the majority, if not the whole houses in the community, are actually either being destroyed or being damaged. So to move in now with the respective assistance, we will need international assistance in terms of shelters that will be brought in, small tents that can sustain the family for the time being before the reconstruction can be made. That will be the kind of assistance that we'll be looking at. I believe we have not had this situation for quite a long time. When we talk about Akina, tropical cyclone Bembe during those days. This one here, it looks like it's much bigger than those here. Government will try its best with the resources it has to actually assist, and where it is needed, we have already sounded out to the international community for them to come on board to assist in terms of shelters and other areas.